the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce presents the Bowie Business Journal, a program designed to keep our community informed about important business and economic issues.
Hello, I'm Bert Oliver, and welcome to the Bowie Business Journal. And welcome also to Kelly Pierce, Executive Director of the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce. Kelly, good to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Bert. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, and thanks for being here. John Rouse had a business, so he wouldn't be here to help co-host the program today, and he was looking forward to being here.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing him too.
And you know, John, being a newspaper guy, has fit right into our business world of the Business Journal. And last year, he co-hosted with me most of the programs in '08, and we won the 3 awards.
Terrific. Congratulations.
Thanks. And it was quite a transfer for him, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, Kelly, he and I have talked a great deal about the Chamber of Commerce and how over the year things have changed, and different presidents on an annual basis, which I agree should be. There's been some favorites and maybe not so many favorites. But the executive director's position, I think, is probably one of the most vital parts of a Chamber of Commerce. And the Greater Bowie Chamber is no different. So how do you feel about the challenges you're facing now?
Well, I do think that the executive director and the paid staff for the chamber plays a real key role, because all of our board members are volunteers. They run their own businesses or are operating for a company and don't have time for the day-to-day operations. So that's our job, is to keep everything moving and flowing and doing the scheduling and the finances and the dues invoicing. So I think that we play a real vital role in what happens, and our job is to do all those things well so that the board and the president of the board for that year look good and enjoy their year and have a successful year in everything that they're doing.
Yeah, it's nice for you to think about that part. I've been a past president, I especially appreciate you saying that. And I've always been convinced that even though there's so much help from you and the staff, each president each year takes some time out of his business or job to work with the chamber. And so, and your role as executive director, though, is an ongoing thing. And yet, the president, you, I think, hope it gives you certain inspiration that you didn't have maybe the previous year, or something creative that they may have because of their experience. So do you feel like now you've got a group of volunteers, you say, officers and board, that really, if you had a choice to select all of them, would you agree that they're in the right place at the right time? Help you move forward? I
do. And I will say, though, that I have felt that the whole time I've been with the chamber. I've been very fortunate. The previous almost 4 years I was with the chamber, and now being back, it's just a really good group of people, and there's a certain continuity each year because the board members are 3-year terms. So there's always a common thread. And although each year I sit down with the president and probably the incoming president and the executive committee to find out what their 2 or 3 priorities are for the year, it certainly helps that from year to year, everybody understands it's what's for the good of the organization. So there seems to be some common thread there in moving the organization forward. Absolutely, and you've got to have their support to make your life more comfortable too. Yeah, and I always felt like I have. I've been very fortunate. It's been a great group of people for a number of years, and they've all been very supportive of me and the other staff in the office and the events that we do, and you know, the things that we try to do to build membership in the organization and provide events that are beneficial to the members. Well, before I get into those leaders that we were talking about, I would like to get into them by name and what they do. Okay. But I want to say this, and in case we don't touch on it later, really. I think, Kelly, your experience in Bowie and in the past is a big edge, really. And I've been around long enough with the chambers to know that when we don't have that your kind of experience and your kind of background interest in the community, it's an education process that's necessary, and sometimes it's not as easy to do that.
particularly with the change in the offices and so forth. But who is your president this year?
The president this year is Brian Shellcross, who's the general manager for the Bowie Bay Sox. And our incoming president, beginning in July at our June annual dinner will be installed, is Mark Melvin, the owner of Melvin Motors.
Right, and his father was president
Right.
years and years ago, probably 20 years ago. And your secretary?
Secretary is Perry Price, that has photography by Perry. The treasurer is Jeff Franklin, who's with Old Line Bank. And
Of course, your past president.
And past president, sure, is Kathy Woods, who's with was with PNC Bank when she was president, and now is with Old Line Bank. Has been recruited.
Well, it sounds like you've got a good lineup there, and I won't go into all of the board people, but here again, do you have good attendance at your board meetings so far?
We do. We have 17 board members, and you know, again, I've been gone for almost a year, but typically of the 17. We get 14 or 15. There's always one or two who are on travel or, you know, have meetings that they have to attend to with their business. But we always have a good turnout at the board meetings and a very supportive board as far as attending the events and being present and letting the members know who they are and what the organization's about. They're all good cheerleaders for the organization.
That's right. Well, you know, I'd like to name the board members too. You think we might be able to together?
Gosh, we might. I've been gone for a year, Bert.
I know.
You're testing me.
I won't do that. I do know this. There's a lot of people, and they serve 3-year terms and overlapping. So there's always, like you said, experience there.
There's always some overlap, always a few new. This year we have 4 people going off the board. The bylaws provide that they can serve 2 3-year terms, and then they have to take a break for a year. So this year we have 4 members going off the board, which will open up some seats. And so anyone who's interested in volunteering and taking on that role with the chamber, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. You know, that's the thing I'd like to talk about, this membership, but I'd like to get into our committees, your committee structure, because each committee has got certain things to do, and here again, you're involved with each committee just like you're involved with the board.
Sure.
So what committees do we have?
Currently, the active committees, we have the Education Committee, which for a number of years gave scholarships to high school graduates, you know, to local colleges and universities. But during the time that I was there, Brian Shellcross served as the chair of that committee, and we changed the focus to be microloans to schools in the community who needed up to $250 to maybe make the difference in a program happening or not happening. And so we've given a number of those $250 pieces away. We have the applications in the office, and again, you know, glad to talk with anybody, any of the schools about that, about programs that they're doing. We have the Women in Business Committee, who periodically throughout the year, about every 2 to 3 months, has a Women in Business luncheon that they host at a local restaurant.
Is there one coming up with that group?
With a guest speaker. We do have one next Wednesday.
Okay, I thought so.
At 11:30. And it's going to be at Renditions, which is in the greater Bowie area. That's when we get into the greater, because there's people who are not directly in the city limits. But a golf course that's down off Central Avenue, and they joined the chamber last year, and they're anxious to host us, and we're having a guest speaker at that luncheon. There's the Legislative Committee, which has been fairly active over the last few years. Len Lucci has chaired the committee. This year, Monty Cooper, who's a local attorney, is chairing the committee, working with state legislators as well as the city and the county on any issues that are of importance to the chamber. And they're an active committee. And then, not really a committee, but one of the other groups that we sponsor and support with the work of the board, and also a sponsorship from the city of Bowie, is our Youth Leadership Bowie program, which has been, I guess this is our 12th year, that accepts applications, again, from local high school students, whether they go to public or private high schools, and they have a year of monthly meetings where they go to different businesses and learn about the world around them in a very different way for high school sophomores and juniors.
That's an excellent program.
It is.
And I know 12 years you've had it?
Yes.
That's unbelievable. The one thing I've noticed about a lot of programs through chambers and other organizations, that there's a certain life to them, but times change. That's a great experience. How about Economic Development Committee? Is that pretty active?